then I will.
Does a cabbage become a meteor? When does a candle become a blaze? When does a man become a monster? When does a ripple become a tidal wave? When does the reason become the blame? When does a man become a monster?
He seems to hesitate, reluctant. Your father looks at the knife. I wait for you, and I forgive you.
The Siege. Chapter 1. Shadows of Doubt. In the heart of the Webway, amidst the labyrinthine passages of the impossible city, Primarch Perturabo, the Lord of Iron, strode with purpose. His every step echoed off the ancient stone walls, a testament to the weight of his determination. Beside him walked warsmith Foryx, his trusted lieutenant, and a contingent of iron warriors, their mechanical forms a stark contrast to the ethereal beauty of the Webway's architecture. As they moved through the city, Perturabo's mind churned with conflicting emotions. Memories of Magnus the Red's folly and the devastation wrought by Horus's rebellion weighed heavily upon him, casting shadows of doubt upon his once unwavering resolve. He couldn't shake the feeling of responsibility, of guilt even, for the chaos that had befallen the Imperium. "Prepare the defences," Perturabo commanded, his voice tinged with a hint of uncertainty. "We must fortify the city against the coming storm." Foryx nodded in silent acknowledgement, his expression unreadable beneath his iron helm. The iron warriors moved with practiced efficiency, their actions a testament to their loyalty to their Primarch, even in the face of uncertainty. Each warrior knew the importance of their task, the weight of their duty pressing upon them like a physical burden. But amidst the preparations, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Custodes patrolled the city's perimeter, their golden armor gleaming in the dim light, their gaze cold and accusatory. They blamed the Primarchs for the folly of Magnus and the rebellion of Horus, and their disdain for Perturabo was palpable. As Perturabo and his warriors worked to fortify the city, they were met with resistance at every turn. Custodes, like Diocletian, a veteran of countless battles, looked upon Perturabo with thinly veiled contempt, their belief in the fallibility of the Primarchs unwavering. They questioned his every decision, challenged his authority at every opportunity. Yet despite the hostility, Perturabo pressed on, his determination unwavering even in the face of adversity. He knew that the defense of the impossible city was paramount, for it was not only a bastion against the forces of chaos, but also a symbol of his father's vision for humanity. Chapter 2. Forging Defenses. As the looming threat of the demonic incursion grew ever closer, Perturabo, accompanied by warsmith Foryx, delved deeper into the heart of the impossible city. The corridors echoed with the sounds of their footsteps, mingling with the distant hum of machinery and the occasional clang of metal, as iron warriors worked tirelessly to reinforce the city's defenses. "We must strengthen the outer walls," Perturabo declared, his voice echoing with authority, "and bolster the gateways leading into the city. We cannot allow the demons to breach our perimeter." Foryx nodded in agreement, his eyes reflecting the determination burning within him. "Agreed, my lord. I will see to it personally." As Foryx departed to oversee the fortification of the city's outer defences, Perturabo turned his attention to the strategic planning table that dominated the chamber. Maps of the Webway were spread out before him, each marking key points of ingress and egress, potential choke points, and defensive positions. With a furrowed brow, Perturabo studied the maps, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew that the key to victory lay in creating an impenetrable fortress, a bastion that could withstand the relentless onslaught of the demonic horde. And so, he began to devise a strategy, one that focused on fortifying the city's defenses and stabilizing the unstable Webway. Hours passed as Perturabo meticulously planned the city's defenses. He ordered the deployment of defense turrets at strategic choke points, each armed with devastating firepower capable of repelling even the most determined assault. In addition, he instructed his warriors to lay traps and minefields throughout the city, creating deadly obstacles for any demonic incursions. As the preparations continued, Perturabo's attention was drawn to the arrival of Ra Endymion, one of his father's most favored custodies. The custodian's presence brought a sense of reassurance to the chamber, his unwavering dedication to the Emperor's cause evident in every word and gesture. "Perturabo," Ra Endymion said, his voice resonating with authority. "The defenses must be reinforced. We cannot allow weakness to compromise the sanctity of the Emperor's domain." Perturabo nodded in agreement, impressed by Ra Endymion's unwavering resolve. "You speak the truth, Ra. We must fortify our position and prepare for the coming onslaught." With the plan set in motion, Perturabo and his companions worked tirelessly to oversee the implementation of their strategy. Iron warriors toiled ceaselessly, erecting defense turrets, laying traps, and fortifying the city's walls, while custodes and Sisters of Silence patrolled the streets, their vigilance unwavering. As the hours stretched into days, the tension within the city grew palpable. Reports flooded in of the outer defenses falling, of the demonic horde drawing ever closer to the impossible city and its defenders. But still, Perturabo remained resolute, his determination unshaken. For he knew that the fate of the Imperium hung in the balance, and he would not rest until victory was secured. Zephon's stand. As the battle raged on within the confines of the Webway, Zephon, a valiant blood angel's Astartes, stood alongside a company of iron warriors, their hearts filled with grim resolve as they faced the onslaught of demonic forces. The very Webway trembled with the fury of the conflict as the defenders fought to hold their ground against the relentless tide of chaos. Zephon's hearts pounded with anticipation as lesser daemons swarmed around them, their twisted forms leaping and clawing at the defenders with frenzied abandon. With skill and ferocity, Zephon engaged the daemons in combat, his chainsword whirling in deadly arcs as he cleaved through their ranks with lethal precision. In the midst of the chaos, a greater demon emerged from the darkness, its towering form wreathed in warp energy. With a roar of challenge, it charged toward Zephon, its eyes burning with malice and hunger for destruction. Zephon met the demon's charge with unwavering resolve, his chainsword flashing with brilliant light as he engaged the enemy in combat. But despite his valiant efforts, the greater demon proved too powerful, overwhelming Zephon with its sheer strength and ferocity. Just as all seemed lost for Zephon, Kruger, a veteran iron warrior, slammed into the demon with unyielding ferocity. The demon, momentarily distracted by the sudden assault, turned its attention toward Kruger, its baleful gaze filled with malice and hunger for destruction. As the demon prepared to strike down Kruger and destroy this pathetic child of the Lord of Iron. Chapter 5. Perturabo's command. High above the tumultuous battlefield, Perturabo, Primarch of the Iron Warriors, stood at his stratagem table, his gaze fixed upon the unfolding chaos below. From his vantage point, he surveyed the shifting lines of battle with keen eyes, his mind calculating and strategizing with unparalleled precision. As the demonic horde surged forward, Perturabo issued commands to his warriors, directing them with unwavering authority. Across the battlefield, iron warriors moved with calculated efficiency, erecting fortifications and laying down suppressive fire to stem the tide of chaos. But even as his forces fought valiantly, Perturabo could see that certain sections of the defense were beginning to buckle under the relentless assault of the enemy. In particular, Zephon's position seemed to be on the verge of being overrun. the demonic forces pressing in from all sides with unrelenting fury. Ra Endymion, Perturabo spoke into his vox, his voice calm and authoritative. I need you to reinforce Zephon's position immediately. The enemy is pressing hard, and we cannot afford to lose that section of the wall. There was a brief moment of static before Ra's voice crackled over the comms. Understood, Lord Perturabo. We will move to reinforce Zephon's position at once. With that, Perturabo watched as Ra Endymion and a contingent of custodians swiftly moved to reinforce Zephon's embattled position. With their arrival, the tide of battle began to shift. The demonic forces momentarily pushed back by the combined might of the Astartes and custodians. But even as the defenders rallied, Perturabo knew that the battle was far from over. The demonic horde continued to press forward with relentless determination, their numbers seemingly endless. With each passing moment, the defense of the impossible city hung in the balance, and Perturabo knew that only through cunning strategy and unwavering resolve could they hope to emerge victorious. As he continued to issue orders to his warriors, Perturabo's mind raced with possibilities, each decision calculated to maximize the effectiveness of their defense. With the fate of the Emperor's realm hanging in the balance, there could be no room for error. And so, with steely determination, Perturabo marshaled his forces, guiding them with precision and skill as they fought to hold the line against the encroaching darkness. For in the grim darkness of the Webway, only the strongest and most resolute would prevail. A custodian's power. As the defense of their wall section hung in the balance and their lives at stake, Kroger and Zephon beheld a figure emerging from the chaos, his golden armor gleaming in the dim light of the Webway. It was Ra Endymion, one of the Emperor's most esteemed custodians, his presence a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. With a swift and graceful motion, Ra Endymion charged forward, his guardian spear flashing with brilliant light as he engaged the greater demon in combat. Mastery of the Emperor's genecraft flowed through his veins, his every movement a testament to the power and precision of the custodians. The demon, caught off guard by Ra's sudden intervention, found itself outmatched by the custodian's prowess. With each strike, Ra's guardian spear pierced the daemon's flesh with deadly accuracy, its warp-infused form unable to withstand the onslaught of his attacks. With a final decisive blow, Ra struck down the greater demon with ease, its twisted form dissipating into the ether as it was banished from the Webway. Breathless and bloodied, Zephon and Kroger stood in awe of Ra's prowess, their hearts filled with gratitude for his timely intervention. As they surveyed the battlefield before them, their relief was short-lived as the demonic forces continued their relentless advance. But just as despair threatened to consume them, they beheld that Ra had not come alone. With him came the custodians and Sisters of Silence, their arrival heralding a turning point in the battle. With renewed vigor, the combined forces of the Ron warriors, Sisters of Silence, and custodians pushed back against the demonic horde, driving them back with righteous fury. With each strike, the defenders carved a path through the enemy ranks, their determination unyielding in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the tide of battle turned in their favor, Zephon and Kroger fought side by side with their newfound allies, their spirits lifted by the sight of victory on the horizon. For in the darkest depths of the Webway, they had found strength in unity, and together they would defend the Emperor's realm against the forces of chaos, no matter the cost. Forix, Iron Within, Iron Without, Chapter 3. The Onslaught. As the distant rumble of demonic hordes grew louder, Warsmith Forix stood at the forefront of the city's defences, his iron resolve matched only by the unyielding determination of his fellow iron warriors. The air crackled with anticipation, as the defenders braced themselves for the inevitable onslaught. Forix's heart pounded in his chest as he surveyed the battlefield before him. The once tranquil streets of the impossible city were now a battleground, bathed in the eerie glow of warp energy and the flickering light of burning buildings. Demonic creatures roared and snarled in the distance, their twisted forms obscured by the shifting shadows. "Brothers," Forix called out, his voice ringing with authority. "Today, we face a foe unlike any we have encountered before. The demonic hordes seek to overrun our defenses and lay waste to everything we hold dear. But we will not falter. We will stand as one, united in our defiance against the forces of chaos." With a thunderous roar, the Iron Warriors echoed their warsmith's words, their weapons raised high in defiance. They knew that the battle ahead would be like none other, a true test of their strength and resilience. As the first wave of demonic creatures surged towards the city's walls, Foryx's heart leaped into his throat. He gripped his weapon tightly, his muscles tensing in anticipation of the coming clash. With a nod to his brothers, he gave the signal to unleash hell upon the enemy. The air was filled with the deafening roar of gunfire and the sickening crunch of metal, meeting flesh as the Iron Warriors opened fire. Bolter rounds streaked through the air, tearing through the ranks of demonic warriors with deadly precision. Last beams lanced out from defense turrets, slicing through the darkness and leaving trails of smoldering ruin in their wake. But still, the demonic hordes pressed on, their numbers seemingly endless. Foryx gritted his teeth in frustration as he watched wave after wave crash against the city's defenses. The Iron Warriors fought with a grim determination, their resolve unshaken even as the casualties mounted. As the battle raged on, Foryx found himself face to face with a monstrous demon, its twisted form towering over him like a living nightmare. With a roar of defiance, he charged forward, his weapon raised high. The clash was brutal and savage, each blow ringing out like thunder in the chaos of battle. Foryx fought with all the skill and ferocity of a true son of Perturabo, his blows landing with deadly accuracy. But still the daemon fought on, its unholy strength fueled by the power of the warp. With a final desperate strike, Foryx drove his weapon deep into the daemon's heart, his muscles straining with exertion. The creature let out a deafening roar before collapsing to the ground in a heap of twisted flesh and bone. Breathless and bloodied, Foryx stood amidst the carnage, his chest heaving with exertion. The battle was far from over, but for now, the Iron Warriors had held the line. And as he surveyed the battlefield before him, Foryx knew that they would fight on, no matter the cost, until the last daemon lay dead at their feet. "And chaos is purged from the Emperor's realm," he muttered, his voice a solemn vow to his fallen brothers and the Imperium they had sworn to defend. Perturabo's Resolve. Chapter 6. The 4 weeks had passed since the defenders of the impossible city had first taken up arms against the demonic onslaught within the treacherous depths of the Webway. Perturabo, ever vigilant, watched as his warriors fought valiantly, their resolve unyielding even in the face of overwhelming odds. But despite their bravery, the relentless assault of the demonic hordes had taken its toll. Even with reinforcements arriving daily, it was not nearly enough to replace their mounting losses. From his command post, Perturabo observed the slow retreat of his soldiers, their ranks dwindling as they fought desperately to hold on to their tenuous foothold within the Webway. With each step backward, the walls of the impossible city seemed to close in, the weight of their impending defeat pressing down upon them like a suffocating shroud. Gathering his most trusted advisors, including custodians Endymion and Diocletian, Perturabo discussed their options. The situation was dire, and there were no easy answers. The defenders held the only way out of the Webway, but the demonic forces were closing in, threatening to cut off their escape. "We cannot afford to retreat," Perturabo declared, his voice resolute. "But we must ensure that our forces have a clear path to withdraw when the time comes." Custodian Endymion nodded in agreement, his golden armor gleaming in the dim light of the command post. "We will hold the line, Lord Perturabo. The Emperor's dream must be protected at all costs." Diocletian, stoic and unyielding as ever, voiced his assent. "If we are to lose on this front, then the war of the material realm must be won. We cannot abandon our King of Kings' dream, but your legion would be invaluable to the war against Horus." Perturabo's jaw tightened, his resolve hardening. "I made my choice. I will not abandon my father's greatest work, nor his greatest servants. I will enter the fray." With a determined stride, Perturabo grasped his hammer, Forgebreaker, and activated his iron circle, their mechanical forms springing to life with a hum of power. The time for words had passed. The time for iron had come. Perturabo would defend the Emperor's realm with all his strength, even if he had to kill every daemon in existence. Chapter 7. The Iron Tide. With the resolve of a true Primarch, Perturabo charged into the heart of the battle, his presence a beacon of hope for his beleaguered warriors. Behind him marched a vanguard of custodians, their golden armor gleaming in the dim light of the Webway, their unwavering loyalty a testament to the Emperor's will. Flanking them were the Sisters of Silence, their psychic nullifying powers disrupting the demonic forces with each swing of their weapons. At Perturabo's side, his iron circle moved with silent purpose, their mechanical forms a formidable sight to behold. With every step they laid waste to the demonic horde, their unyielding determination matched only by their Primarch's own. As they advanced, Perturabo rallied his iron warriors to his side, their ranks bolstered by the arrival of Kruger and Forix, veterans of countless battles. With a mighty roar, Perturabo swung Forgebreaker, his brother Ferrus Manus's warhammer, cleaving through the ranks of the enemy with devastating force. The tide of battle began to turn as Perturabo and his forces reclaimed territory lost to the demonic horde. With each blow, he struck fear into the hearts of his enemies, his every movement a symphony of destruction as he carved a path through their ranks. Amidst the chaos, a greater daemon of Khorne emerged, its towering form a twisted parody of strength and fury. With a roar of challenge, it charged toward Perturabo, its massive axe raised high. Undaunted, Perturabo met the demon's charge head-on, Forgebreaker crackling with energy as it clashed against the demon's weapon. The ground shook beneath their feet as they exchanged blow after blow, each strike resonating with the fury of a god. With a mighty swing, Perturabo landed a devastating blow, shattering the demon's axe and sending it reeling. But the greater demon of Khorne was not so easily vanquished. With a roar of defiance, it lashed out with its remaining strength, its claws tearing through Perturabo's armor with brutal force. Perturabo gritted his teeth against the pain, his determination unyielding as he pressed his attack. With each strike of Forgebreaker, he battered the demon's defenses, his blows fueled by the fury of his righteous anger. But the demon fought on with relentless ferocity, its primal rage matched only by Perturabo's own indomitable will. They clashed like titans amidst the chaos of battle, their every movement shaking the very foundations of the Webway. As the battle raged on, Perturabo found himself pushed to his limits, his strength waning under the relentless assault of his foe. But he refused to yield, drawing upon every ounce of his resolve to keep fighting, even as his body screamed in protest. With a final desperate effort, Perturabo summoned the last of his strength, channeling it into a devastating blow that struck true, shattering the daemon's form and banishing it back to the warp from whence it came. Exhausted but victorious, Perturabo stood amidst the wreckage of battle, his breath ragged and his armor battered and torn. Yet despite the toll of the fight, his iron will remained unbroken, a beacon of hope for his warriors as they continued to push back the demonic horde. As the defenders of the impossible city rallied around their Primarch, they knew that their victory had come at a great cost, but they remained steadfast in their resolve to defend the Emperor's realm against the forces of chaos, no matter the sacrifice required. And with Perturabo leading the way, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to stand as guardians of humanity's future in the grim darkness of this new age. Perturabo watched on with grim satisfaction as the defenses sprang back to life, their mechanical guardian standing ready to repel any further assaults from the enemy. Fallen Sun. Chapter 9. The Weary Primarch. For 5 days and nights, Perturabo had led his warriors in the relentless struggle against the demonic hordes, his every moment consumed by the chaos of battle. With no rest or reprieve, he fought on, his body and spirit growing weary under the relentless assault of his foes. But even the mightiest of warriors have their limits, and as the battle raged on, Perturabo found himself pushed beyond the brink of exhaustion. In a moment of vulnerability, he faltered, a blow to his head sending him reeling to the ground. As darkness closed in around him, Perturabo felt himself slipping away, his consciousness fading as he succumbed to unconsciousness. Yet even in his weakened state, his mind remained restless, haunted by the echoes of battle and the cries of his warriors. In the depths of his unconsciousness, Perturabo entered a dreamlike state, his senses dulled as he drifted between moments of past and present. He saw his warriors throwing themselves at the enemy, their lives offered up as sacrifices in defense of their primarch. Through the haze of his dream, Perturabo sensed the presence of Foryx, Crueger, and Zephon, their stalwart forms dragging him to safety with the aid of the Iron Circle. Their faces were grim with determination as his sons fought to save their father with the help of a wayward son of Sanguinius, their loyalty unwavering even in the face of overwhelming odds. As Perturabo slipped further into the depths of his dream, he felt a sense of weightlessness enveloping him, the sounds of battle fading into the distance. And in his place, Ra-Endymion stepped forward, his commanding presence filling the void left by Perturabo's absence. With a steady hand and unwavering resolve, Ra took command of the defense, rallying the warriors of the impossible city to continue the fight in their primarch's stead. Though Perturabo lay unconscious, his spirit remained unbroken. He drifted away into a dream of a golden figure upon a golden throne.